TV.
So professional.
We're live on Mograph TV.
True.
Sending out that signal.
Pop out the chat. Doug, is your IMDb filmography out of this world?
Yeah. It's, I don't know when the last time I was updated.
Chat is saying your IMDb filmography is out of this world.
Those kind of things like, do I want to open the chat or I'm just going to stay blissfully?
Nah, open the chat, you'll be fine. Actually, you'll see it below, but if you want
What's up,
to comment,
If you want
You'll
to
need to
comment,
open it
we'll
up.
do the pull out on that. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Looks like
I normally
everything's
just
running.
pop it out.
We're on the things.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
What?
I need to open Audition.
It's a good idea. Help.
It's been one of those mornings, you know?
It's just
been
one
a
of those
very
days when you
relaxing
don't want to
one.
wake up. Everything is, everybody sucks.
Have you know
don't
he's
really
on,
know.
you know he's on
But you got to
TikTok,
justify.
right?
Yeah. But you got to justify.
You know he's on TikTok, and he looks
Is he?
very old. Yes.
Yeah, I saw one of his performances. It looked
It's really
pretty
weird.
interesting. Yeah. All right,
So-
everything's good to go here. Matt with the
Don't
haircut.
get don't
Oh, don't
let's
get
not
him
talk
started
about the
on the haircut. His
Man,
Greg
I'm
Locke
so mad
haircut.
about that.
Pastor Greg Locke haircut.
Oh man. I got my hair cut by a white supremacist, not knowing he was a white supremacist who
Oh,
works
no.
at Great Clips. And so like he's like, he's like making comments here and there. I was like, is this guy baiting me? Is he trying to see if I believe the same thing he does? And then he just went full on racist. And I'm like, oh, come on, man.
He gave you the matching haircut.
Gave me the matching haircut. I didn't want it. I wanted it less like this.
Less
But
Greg
it's
Locke,
fine.
more
It's
Skrillex.
fine. I'll deal with it.
All right,
Well,
looks like we
that's,
got people in the chat and coming in. All right, are we
Yeah.
good to record?
I'm good, yeah.
Audio?
Sorry, thanks,
Move
guys.
My things over here a little bit. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit record. I'm going. Check. Let me know when
Check,
y'all are
check.
recording.
I am rolling.
Oh, 1 second. Let's see. Oh, I messed this whole thing up already.
Oh no.
All right, I'm recording.
All right, cool.
I'm recording.
We're gonna do a sync clap, which will be 1, 2, 3 clap. All right. Here we
All
go.
right.
1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Perfect.
All right.
Think
Y'all
I
ready
nailed
to do
that.
show? You feeling good?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
All right.
I feel awake.
Okay. What's up and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and joining us today is IMDb filmography fire super talented Doug Appleton.
Hello.
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Questions, comments, concerns, queries, grievances, artist suggestions, show topic ideas. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok over there, and Mograph TV. We're on Mograph TV as well. It's going on right there behind Matt.
Yeah.
You can see that. We go live on Mograph TV when the show goes live. So, you can just keep it on all day, wherever you are, and you'll catch everything. It's fun.
I'm mad I messed up that intro. I meant to say it differently. That's all right. We all
Close
know you
enough.
are. Your
We get it.
filmography is out of this world.
Fire filmography.
Fire.
Yeah, it's fire.
Fire emoji.
So Mograph TV has been going. I hope everybody has been enjoying it. We got some great content lined up for this week. So tell your friends, put it on a TV. Tell us what you like, don't like. We want it to show what you want to see. So yeah, put
This
it on.
whole
If you've
past
got-
week, I've had it on my TV, just going. we've had some people in town and we were just, hanging out, and it's been real nice just having it on in the background,
Yeah. See all your friends, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of fun when your friend comes. Oh my gosh, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. I just got a new Apple Watch and I don't know how to use it.
Oh my
There we go.
gosh. You're calling the police on accident.
Yeah, I do that a lot on many different ways. So Mograph TV, so it was on all week for you. I'm hoping that other people are doing the same thing. If you work in a studio or you're at an agency or something, you got those extra TVs just in the break room or wherever, throw on Mograph TV on there.
Yeah.
You can get it on YouTube, so you can get it on anything. You can get it on Roku TV and Chromecast and computers and all the things. So put it on. Treat it like the news network, the CNN, whatever.
Like the news at the airport.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
like the
on-
news at the airport.
Yeah,
There.
in the background.
Yeah.
And you're going to catch stuff that you wouldn't have caught if you were just Googling around or going about your day or whatnot, right?
And I'll
So-
tell you what, it's like, for us, we hang out on Discord, so it's kind of different. But when you're just like I was working on a project this past week where I was in Procreate the whole time, and so I'm just like kind of rotoing video and stuff like that on Procreate. And it was really cool to have something going on in the background while I was working,
Right.
It was
And-
cool
and
just to be able to
something-
listen to Windbush in the background talking about, Unreal while
Right.
I'm working. It was cool.
And something that you don't have to respond to, right? I think
Mhm.
we all love Discord, but I think every single one of us has said, sometimes I can't get on Discord because I don't get anything. I can't get anything done, right? Like I can't get all
Mhm.
my work done, and so what happens is you get in Discord and somebody says something. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I heard about that. And then you end up getting in this convo, and you're like, 30 minutes went by, and I didn't get anything done. So if you have Mograph TV on, so you don't have to respond to people. If you don't like people. you
Oh,
can
my
just-
favorite
right.
thing is not responding to people. So
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if your favorite thing is not responding to people, you're going to love this. So, yeah, put it on. If you're at home, turn it on, keep you company. We'd love to hear your feedback about what you want to see. We're working on a lot more short-form content as well.
Yeah.
That's going to go
And
on
some-
here.
A lot more original content. We've got some stuff planned. It's very cool.
Stream-only content, stuff like that.
Yep.
So, yes, let us know what you think. And let's talk about camp for a minute. So, I'm sure
Yeah.
you got some updates
about
for
camp.
camp for us.
Yeah, we didn't mention it that last week. We announced it on Tuesday. That tickets will go on sale April 20th at noon Eastern time. So make sure that you are ready.
Especially on that
because-
particular day of the week.
Yes,
And month
because
at 420. Make sure
Yes.
that you have that reminder set up so you don't
Right.
forget for some reason on 420 to get your
Right.
tickets.
right,
Right.
I know some people
Are very
like
forgetful
to
on 420.
are very forgetful on 420.
no idea why.
I
Right.
don't know why. It's weird.
Anyway, April 20th at noon Eastern time, tickets will go on sale. And if you're wanting tickets, I would recommend setting an alarm, being ready to go, because they sold out in about 45 seconds last year.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so it's going to be fun. Make sure and stay tuned. If you're not already subscribed to the newsletter, go and subscribe. We've got 2 out of the 3 Fireside Chat speakers already booked, which
But we
is
can't tell
very
you who they are
exciting. We
yet.
can't tell you
It's
who
a
they are
secret.
yet, so secrets.
Secrets.
And then we've got a bunch of the teachers already planned and the workshops and stuff. I'm really excited about this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, make sure and subscribe, campmograph.com. But I also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors. Without our sponsors, Camp Mograph would be ridiculously expensive. They help cover a lot of the costs that come
A
along
lot
with
of the
this.
costs.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I just happened to
huge-
be on Mograph TV watching that particular episode where you made this announcement last year.
Oh, yeah.
And you had done the calculation
Yeah.
about the cost offset of the tickets, and you
Yeah.
said it about half the price of the
Yeah.
tickets.
And what's like, the thing is we're trying our best to find like cooler and, more unique camps and stuff like that, each year. And so like the cost for us just goes up and up each year, so like really the sponsors really help offset those costs for ticket prices and stuff.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to them. Our Spider Lord sponsor, our global sponsor, Otoy. Otoy is presenting Camp Mograph this year. We're super excited to have them on board for that. And then our two of our village sponsors, Maxon and Video Copilot. Huge shout out to them. We're super excited to have everyone on board for camp. So thanks so much to all of them. And make sure to stay tuned to hear all the exciting stuff, and set your alarm right now. Go on your phone and be like, I'm gonna set this April 20th at 11:30, and then get your heart racing, because you got to get that ticket. Yeah. So we'll be announcing there. So I don't know. So there's
You're
a
like,
couple
can I
different
say
cabins.
this or not?
There's a couple different cabins.
I'm sure
this
Mark
year,
is watching.
There's a couple different cabins this year, so just make sure and pay attention and stuff like that, because we'll be making some announcements there.
Are the accommodations going to be listed before the tickets go on sale,
yes.
so people can know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But that's not
Absolutely.
listed currently.
It'll probably be in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep an eye out. Read your
Mm-hmm.
emails.
We
all don't like to read your emails. But
I know.
Read your emails, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be adding some more sponsors as we go, but I just got to say, it's incredible right now. I mean, y'all don't even know, with their support, how much more we're able to add in value. There's always a lot of things that we're on the fence. Should we do this thing? Should we not do this thing? It would be really expensive. It would cut into budgets, and then sometimes a sponsor comes along that helps us offset that and be like, okay, we can definitely add this amenity now. So it's a really big deal. So make sure you thank them for sponsoring, either online or when you see them in person, because most of them come to camp,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And we're working on some really cool stuff with some other potential sponsors I can't wait to talk about as well. So
yeah,
that'll be fun. I also wanted to remind everybody, make sure that you check out our classes, Brush Up. If you want to do Procreate, make sure that you check out Caitlin's course, Brush Up on Procreate, because it's freaking fantastic.
I was able to do an entire project in Procreate, all because I went through her course. Yep. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's great. And then of course the Houdini course, Stop Being Afraid of Houdini, Unreal, Creating the Unreal with Windbush, and we've got another one coming soon that we're trying to finish up right now. We're really just in the ending beta testing phases of it, just to make sure everything's good. But that one is with Brandon Clements. It's called RTX On, so that's going to be coming. You're going to learn all about ray tracing. It's not for the faint of heart in Unreal. So I'm just letting you know, you've already got to know Unreal to do this one. But the bombs of knowledge that he puts out there about how to make a scene as close to real time as possible and looking really clean, it's just fantastic. So just check on that. And I know my Facebook messages were going off in the chat. I'm sorry. Matt was Facebook messaging, and I usually have all my tabs muted, and I didn't have them muted today, so that's
okay.
Bad.
It was just Paul making fun of my haircut.
Oh, okay, good.
Saying that I got it at the Ku Klux Klan cuts.
Oh my gosh. And he's like, I put that in here so you wouldn't see it in chat, and then you just read it.
Well, it's fine. It was a funny joke. Yes, let's all make fun of my hair.
I think you're missing out on the opportunity to call it Ku Klux Clips.
Ah, there you go.
Or is it Ku Cuts Clan?
Ku Cuts Clan. There you go. See, here's the problem: is we weren't talking about your haircut on the show. We were talking about it in the pre-show.
Oh,
so
that's
everybody
funny.
Listening is like, what are you talking about? Long story short, this racist dude gave Matt a haircut, and that's where we're at.
And the haircut looks... Yeah.
We should just do a podcast of all, pre-show entertainment.
You're right. It's all the pre-show stuff.
We just get on... Yeah. I started thinking about that. I'm like, everybody's going to be like, what are you talking about? But
that's fine. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I mean...
You're in here for the pre-show. You missed out on all the banter.
I know.
Right?
I know.
That's it.
See, that's how you do it. You make people feel like they're missing out, and that really increases engagement. That's how Facebook does it.
Right.
Yeah. Get people angry. All right, Doug, let's talk about you. That's all I got for week wrap up. There's not a lot going on right now. It's February.
February. It's a
February's
slower
a-
time for us.
It's a month that doesn't exist.
Sure, it doesn't have a full month, right?
It doesn't
So
have a feel. It's just like this is the lull between Christmas and spring.
Yeah, Christmas and big projects coming in.
Christmas
It's when
and
you're bringing in a
tornadoes.
bunch of projects.
Yeah. But Doug, you are at Perception, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
I am.
everybody knows who Perception is at this point, but we're going to go ahead and just say they make a lot of things that you've probably seen, including lots of Marvel fun stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, we do a lot of things. A lot of Marvel things, a lot of real world tech things that some of which we can talk about, some of which we can't talk about, which is kind of the weird world of real world tech is, you know, you
Right.
can't really say anything about it. But yeah, we play in this fun space of taking our cool futuristic UI work that we're doing in the Marvel and the movies and bring that over to the real world, you know, card dashboards and clusters and TVs and phones and all that stuff, and trying to marry those two together.
it's
So it's a lot of fun.
I think what's so cool about it, and you know, we've talked to Johnny about this before, John Lepore over at Perception, you know, and I think it's so interesting that how like almost the fake graphical user interfaces that you guys create inspire the realistic graphical user interfaces, you know, in like modern tech and stuff like that. It's very neat.
It's a weird thing that we never. I mean, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I personally did not see that as a thing that was going to happen. Right? Like, oh, we're going to make a cool thing over here, and then people would come and be like, hey, you guys made Iron Man's phone, right? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, cool. Can you make our phone? Like, but we didn't like really make Iron Man's phone.
right.
I don't know if you know that. We didn't like really do it.
It's a movie. I don't know.
It's going to really call anyone on it. But that's kind of how this whole thing starts. This Iron Man phone. People came to us to like, oh, make our phone look like that phone. I'm like, well, first, you don't really want your phone to look like that phone because no one's going to be able to use that phone. You know, but we take some of the ideas, and it's just it's cool how those two have married each other. And then, you know, taking the real world tech stuff and saying like, oh, we worked on this company who's doing, you know, midair haptics, and how can we bring that into the film and bring that technology? Like, hey, here's a cool thing that we were working on. You know, they both work together in some really unexpected ways, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about that backwardsness of that, because I know probably for the most part, you're probably, if you're doing an HUD, you're putting a little bit of thought into why would it be arranged this way and why would the keypad be here and whatnot. But I imagine that it's not fully thought out in that aspect because it is a movie, right? Like,
It's, you know, when we go into designing this stuff, we try and come at it, and it's probably because we have this basis in working in this real world, you know, UI and stuff. But we come at it and say like, how would this really work? But then at the end of the day, if the actor is just going like this in front of a screen, we're like, all right, we gotta make a thing that works with that hand movement. But we always try and start from a space of this thing could really work, and now let's add all the cool stuff around it. So at this point, the audience is smart. You know, people know when you watch a movie and someone's just kind of typing wildly, the audience knows like, they're not really typing, they're not really doing that or interacting with that thing. So, you know, we take it upon ourselves to try and make things feel more accurate and more real, and then add the fantastical stuff on top of that.
Who were we talking to recently? It might have been Angie Ferret we were talking to
Angie
about
Ferret,
the
it
HUD
was.
stuff. And you know, the big question is this stuff that is done in, you know, pre-production and it's played on set for them to actually do something, or is it the other way around where it's, you know, a green screen or some tracking markers or something and you're putting it in after the fact? Is there one or the other that you do more of in
we do more posts. We haven't done a lot of on-set playback. We certainly have worked with getting plates from them that have on-set playback, and then we have to kind of replace that,
right?
Because they're finaling, you know, that stuff so early that by the time it gets to going into post, someone's like, you know, it would be better if it did this thing instead, or better if it did that. I think on-set playback it's great for the actors to then have things to work with and to know kind of where things are going. Because again, when you're just pretending, they're just flailing their hands around, and what is that going to be?
Yeah.
But we do mostly post, so we get these plates that either are just on a green screen or blue screen with nothing there, and we have to kind of make the hand movements make sense. Or
you have to do a lot of like cleanup on the green screen and blue screen stuff as well.
It depends if we're.
Or are you
the final
just?
shots.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you just providing like
we do
clean
both
effects and stuff like that? Yeah,
we do both. It depends on the job.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll take it from concept all the way through comp through final. Other times we're animating the assets, designing, animating all that stuff, and then handing that off to some other vendor to comp that in.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's one of those annoying like it depends answers,
Right.
but we do both.
Yeah, but I think that's cool. Like, a lot of the times whenever we're doing work or something, it's like, or a lot of like freelancers or workers or whatever, it's like, no, we're going to handle it from beginning to end, but it's like, it's very interesting that, it could be like, all right, we're just designing assets and handing them over to someone else to do all the comping. It's neat.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff we're doing also has an element of, background replacement is going on, or there's character animation happening. There's all of this stuff happening around this shot, and our graphics are one part of that, where it kind of makes more sense for us to, get it as far as we can and then hand it off to another vendor who's also going to be doing set extensions, who's also going to be animating the characters and doing final comps and all that stuff and giving it to them, because then we could run into this cycle of, we're done and now we need to wait for them to be done to give us the final plate so that we can do our comp to go back to the final finishing. And, it gets easier to, a lot of times, just to hand off our assets.
Is there anybody that coaches actors through the gesture process on set? Like, I'm really curious if they have any coaching or if they just do whatever.
Sometimes, so we've run into some things where they've hired like a coach for some sort of specific things. But for the most part, and I'm not privy to all of the actors behind the scenes, but for the most part, what I understand is just like, okay, you've got some dials that are going to happen up there, and just make sure you're looking at, the tennis ball or whatever. And then people kind of do their own thing. And, there's a lot of times there's an idea in their head, like, oh, we know this is going to be a dial, or we know it's going to be a keyboard, or we know it's going to be this. But in terms of specifics, I don't know if there's any coaches. That might be a good business to get into, is actor.
Right.
Gesture coach.
Yeah, gesture coach.
I'm going to be a gesture coach.
They brought in for what was it? Doctor Strange, the original Doctor Strange, all of his hand movements and stuff like that.
Tutting.
Yeah, they brought in a guy from YouTube who was like really, big into that in order to coach him how to like do the different gestures and stuff. Very interesting.
It's same thing. Also, there's a show called The Magicians on Sci-Fi, which I don't know if anyone's seen that, but loved that show. They did a lot of that, like I think it's called finger tutting or finger dancing for all of their spells, and they had like a coach that said like this motion means that and stuff. So
that's cool.
There's people out there that do that, which is awesome.
It's a job for everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So are you okay? We know what Perception has worked on, but are you able to say specifically maybe some of the things you worked on in maybe a generality, like the names of movies you've worked on?
Things we have worked on? Yeah, sure. Well, most recently, now I'm getting to like, what are we allowed to say?
How long have you been there, Doug?
I've been at Perception for almost 12 years now.
Okay, so you've worked on quite a few of the,
I'd say
the big Marvel movies and stuff that y'all have worked on,
Yeah, the only, and I don't know if I'm right about this, but the only the only movie that I haven't worked on at Perception was Iron Man 2, which was our first kind of foray into feature films. And I'd actually just started, I think 2 or 3 months after that movie came out. So at that point, we were still doing a lot of broadcast work. We were still doing, a lot of HBO commercials and Verizon and stuff like that. And then slowly, because of Iron Man 2, slowly started getting into more film work and more real world tech work, to the point where that's now, almost our entire business is film and tech.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know just a few that off the top of my head that I know you guys worked on. Well, a lot of like either beginning title sequences or ending title sequences, correct? Like
Yeah, so we do a lot of title sequences,
Spider-Man.
too.
Y'all did Spider-Man, right? The ones
We
that
did
were like
Spider-Man
hand-drawn.
Homecoming. Yep, we did
Yeah.
Homecoming and Far From Home.
Oh, okay.
titles.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then also the did y'all do the opening for was it Age of Ultron with that big sculpture, or was that someone else?
Yeah, so we did Age of Ultron. That was the
Okay.
end of Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
did
yeah.
do, I guess, technically an opening credit of the title Age of Ultron that like flies towards
All
the
right.
screen. But yeah, so we did that
WandaVision?
opening.
You did
closing.
WandaVision, right?
The ending
WandaVision.
title sequence of WandaVision, right?
And we also did the individual like fake show titles for WandaVision as well.
Oh, that's fun.
nice.
That's
Everything
fun.
except for, I think, episode 2, which was the Bewitched episode.
Okay.
I want to say Titmouse did that one, but we did all the other ones, which is so much fun that our work was like, all right, let's research old sitcom title sequences.
Yeah, that's cool.
We can try and make this look as much like that as we can. And so that was a lot of, watching Malcolm in the Middle and then watching, Dick Van Dyke and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So we could do that
I
every day.
loved WandaVision. That was such a good show. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those, we work on a lot of these things, and it's one of those that you get like, this is really cool. This is
Yeah.
a really, really cool show because it's so,
Yeah.
it's a good show, but it's so unique that every episode was sort of this different time period. So like we just, you don't get, I don't want to say you get bored doing this stuff because it's always awesome, but like every week was like, all right, today's task
Something
is
new.
Yeah.
make it look like it's from the 40s and make it
Yeah.
look 50s and make it look like it's from the 90s. So it was always something new.
That's cool.
That end sequence is great. I remember seeing all those different pieces, and I'm like, I wonder if that's Mograph. And then I think John did a 3D motion show presentation.
Yeah, John and I,
Talking
we
about
both
Or was that
both
you?
did that
Was
one.
it you?
I think
both of you.
I think Johnny opened it and did like a talk on perception and who we are and what we do, and then I
Gotcha.
jumped in like, and here's some work that we
Yeah,
did recently.
That's right. Yeah. You can check that out on Maxon's YouTube channel. Or just wait for the rerun on Mograph TV.
There you go. Just pull
Dave, you
up
should
the,
put that into the
Into
schedule.
the lineup. We should
Specifically,
do,
and be like,
and we're talking about this. We're gonna do some fun stuff with themes. Like it would be cool. There's probably enough content to where we could do like a Marvel week or
Yeah,
at least a Marvel day or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
that'd be cool.
funny.
Yeah. Let's go back though. Let's rewind and go back to your schooling. You
Sure.
actually have been at Perception as I just read this morning. I did not realize this, but you went straight to Perception from college. So tell us about college and your interest in all of this and how you got where you are.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, my interest in all of this, when I got into doing animation, I was convinced like I want to work on cartoons and I want to, work on more traditional 2D animated character stuff, and I want to get a cartoon show. And my big goal is like I'm gonna have my own cartoon show. That's my life. I'm so excited. So I went to school for animation at Northeastern University in Boston, which it's not really known for animation. Certainly not at the time. And I went to school there, and as I was there, we kind of get our hands and everything, learn a little bit of After Effects, do some more like traditional painting, and then started getting into 3D stuff. And when we got into 3D, I started with Maya. And I think like after the first project, I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is fun that I can do, some of the stuff that I never thought would even be possible. So then I started going in more the direction of I want to be into visual effects. And then as I got closer towards the end of school, I had a few internships. One of my internships was at Buck in LA, and
Nice.
that kind of opened the door to me to be like, oh, the stuff that I'm doing at school that's going to take me an entire semester to do at school, like you can do this stuff in like a month, and have a full spot together in a month. And then that opened up to kind of like more motion graphics kind of work, and started, falling in love with that. And yeah, when I did my final year at Northeastern, we had a big sort of thesis project, and everyone was kind of doing these like, I'm going to do a full semester long project. And at that point, I had my time at Buck, and I was back in school my final semester. And I was like, I don't want to do a whole semester long project. I'm going to do a project every 2 weeks and just make what I need for my demo reel.
Nice.
And
Smart.
I'll have a demo reel with 10 unique projects on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be my reel coming out of school. And so that's what I did. And then I kind of put it out in the world. I put it out there, and then it got picked up on Motionographer as one of the little side stories.
Nice.
And from there, people started reaching out to me. Perception was one of the places, and I interviewed with them. And I think I was hired probably 2 weeks before I graduated. So technically, I had the job before I even left school.
That's awesome.
Just straight
which,
to that, man.
Again, incredibly, if I can't stress this enough, incredibly lucky that happened. I know that's not a normal.
It was really smart. The way you did it was very smart, because a lot of us, when I went to the Art Institute, and the Art Institute was all about, you need your reel, you need your demo reel and stuff like that, and it's they push that heavily. And while, it does help you, the Art Institute doesn't do a very good job of, helping you with your work, but, having a demo reel directly going out of school is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things I noticed, because I also would watch a lot of demo reels, trying to be inspired by stuff. And you'd see, student reels have 1 or 2 projects, but they'll have 10 shots from that project. So it's cutting back and forth. And you're like, all right, this is one thing that I see a lot of shots from. And I was like, I want to make it look like I have a lot of work. And so it was all these little 5-second clips. And I did a ton of interviews where people were like, hey, we'd love to see more of that. I'm like, I don't really have any more of that.
Right.
That's it. That's what's in there. And I was very transparent. Listen, I just made what I needed for a reel because I wanted to make a good reel. But yeah, there were a few times it's I don't have any more of that thing.
That was,
this.
Nick Campbell's 5-second project idea back in the day. You do all these little 5-second projects, and you got a reel. You got yourself a studio. Yeah.
That's it. A reel, a reel doesn't need. You don't need to have a 30-second project so you can take 2 seconds and put it in a reel. You can just make a thing. And I was at that point, I was like, I'm going to be a generalist. I want to learn everything. So I do a project all right, what can I do that has a fluid sim? Because I want to learn, real flow. So I'd try and come up with a little project that had some kind of fluid sim element to it. Okay, now I want to work on my rendering. So what can I do for that? And try to put all of these little things together to make a reel. I think my reel might still be up on my Vimeo page if I wanted to go hunt that down.
I'm gonna look at it.
What do you think? What do you think allowed you to get? Okay, besides luck and talent, because you need those things, kind of a combo of both. You need a lot of talent and maybe a little bit of luck. What do you think? How were you able to get to perception that quick? There's a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, I would work for 10, 15 years before I could. Was there anything in particular in your path or your journey or what you learned or certain teachers or certain software that really gave you that boost that you needed to get to a certain level?
Oh man, I wish there was something where I could totally take credit for it. I don't know. I'd say it was probably on my reel, sort of the breadth of work that I had on there. Right, there's some 2D stuff on there. There's some 3D stuff on there.
I found it.
Oh boy.
it is from 2010, but I gotta say, a lot of the stuff I wish I had on my reel. It's very quality stuff still to this day.
Well, this is the whole thing. Where's the reel? Oh, here it is.
I put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ooh, some of it's the work from Buck, some of it's student work, some of it's group projects, but I think it's the breadth of work was really helpful because, again, I wanted to be a generalist. I didn't want to go in and just be, a rigger. I didn't want to just be a modeler. I wanted to show work that said hey, I can do a little bit of everything. And that's one thing, when I do talk to students, I'm like, hey, any advice on the reel? I was like, only put stuff on your reel that you want to work on.
Absolutely, 100%.
If you are currently working in an industry and you're like, I don't really want to do this forever, then don't put that stuff on your reel and take the time to make some new stuff for the reel.
That right there was insanely cool. How did you do that? with the big splash and stuff like that. That's so cool.
Yeah, so that thing,
nice.
that one was a really cool project at Buck, I think for Coke Zero, which was like a Russian Coke energy drink that I don't know if that commercial ever aired anywhere other than Russia. So
this is very grayscale gorilla right here.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
10 years ago,
12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years ago, and that was like my first foray into motion graphics. And that was before I even knew who Grayscale Gorilla was.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, so like cool looking spheres is a thing. And I was like, all right, I stumbled my way into that.
And the reel is 360p, so you know it's old.
Nice.
Yeah, you know it's the good stuff.
Yeah.
I was probably like, who needs 1080? Why?
Right.
What's the point?
Back then, our computers couldn't handle 1080.
Right.
Yeah, right. So it's a good reel. I actually still really like this reel. I think there's a lot of cool work on here.
Yeah, there is good work. Yeah.
It helps that some of it's Buck on there, which always I think elevates a bit. But something like that, like this thing right here, was just the little monster guy was a 5-second thing that I just made because I was like, I want to make like a thing that feels like a miniature kaiju thing, and that was that's what it was. But yeah, it's just trying to make a reel that feels like I have a ton of work, and probably 80% of that is student work.
Yeah, you did a great job. We're just giving out your phone number.
Got your phone number. It's probably not even the right phone number anymore.
It might not be. Does it start with 561? It's not the same phone number.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, cool.
All right, good. They're gonna be calling somebody else. Is this Doug?
Right.
No. Why does everybody always call me asking for Doug?
Now my phone's gonna start blowing up because it was the right phone number.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all right. I trust people. What are they gonna do? They're gonna call me. It's no big deal.
So what do you do?
It's on Vimeo.
So. Yeah, right. It's on Vimeo, so that's what we used to do. We used to put email addresses and phone numbers on things.
Right.
I think one of them has like my address on it because.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's what we do.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So
yeah. So if you didn't catch my phone number the first time,
right?
Get it in the show notes.
So what do you do on a regular basis? Like, what is your main thing? Like, do you have the main thing? Or are you like doing a lot of HUD character stuff, or is it?
It's I'd say now for me, I'm mostly in the titles, doing our title sequence stuff. I get into the HUDs. I don't know if HUDs is the plural version of HUD.
Sure,
but
why not?
Sure, why not? The FUI, so I get into that as well. But I feel like a lot of the time is spent on the title sequence, helping to build those things and make them as cool as they could possibly be.
Yeah. Did you have a hand on the WandaVision title sequence as well? Yeah.
So the WandaVision was mine. Also working on that with a few other super talented artists, Nick Wythaler. Oh my God, I always just call him Rupert, Alex Rupert. There you go. I was like, what's his first name? Yeah, and so that one was really really great. I think Chris Zito had done some early frames for that thing. So this is like we have these big teams that work on this stuff, but also the teams aren't really as big as you'd expect them to be. The bulk of that was 3 artists working on that thing, with people coming in and out sort of early on, helping to develop the style frames and stuff, and then going off into animation. But yeah, that was a cool one.
What's been your favorite project to work on so far?
My favorite one
that's been released that you can talk about,
right?
Yeah. Probably the Spider-Man Homecoming title sequence.
Okay.
That one I loved. That as we've talked about it in the past, it's kind of like going back to art school, where that, for those who aren't familiar with it, it's done to look like a high school art project, right? So it switches styles. There's painting, and there's claymation, and there's construction paper cutouts and pencil drawings and crayons and all sorts of stuff, kind of all mixed together into this sequence. And we did a lot of that practically.
Yeah.
We, like the stop motion that we did, we really went to the store and bought a bunch of clay and like made these things, and we really drew things frame by frame, because we wanted that real feel to it. Like certainly we could fake it, but there's something that gets missed in that, just in the way that, the camera is exposed slightly differently between frames. It's like, yeah, we could go in and do that manually, but when you do it for real, you just get that extra physical nature to it. But then we also used, a lot of cinema in that, where some of the shots we would block out. I think we have a really cool breakdown of the train on there, and like that was all blocked out in cinema, and then we would render that out, and then in Photoshop we went and like painted over the whole thing. Then there's other times where we do the same thing and we'd print it out, and then with a pencil we'd draw over the whole thing. It just kind of depended on what we wanted to do. But as much as we could, we wanted that, that sort of handmade feel to it. So that was a ton of fun. I have something at home. I kept one of our claymation frames. I have it like framed at home, like the clay hand and the stuff. So it's cool. Like, and you get sort of a keepsake from that too, right? We have those things, in the office. So that was,
I remember, I don't know if this was on the video that y'all did about the title sequence, or whether it was just talking to Johnny one time while we were together. But he was saying like people would print off, all the ones that they're coloring over, and people would just be in meetings and they would just be drawing over stuff. Wow.
I was going to say, I was actually going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Because the other part of that too is we had these marker pops that were on top of the whole thing, which was also like, all right, let's print out the entire sequence now that it's locked, and like let's draw on top of the whole thing. And there's just so much to do that we would print stuff out, and there'd be a stack on a table. Like, hey, if you've got 10 minutes, grab a stack and draw stuff. And like, if cool. Any, like my wife came to the office once, and I was like, hey, while you're waiting, here you go. And
that's funny. Was she super excited to get her?
Yeah, it's like she's got some frames in there, and and because I'm putting the whole thing together, I'm like, all right, let's make sure Lauren's frames are in here.
Yeah,
and,
right.
So there's cool stuff like that. So anyone who would be in the office, we had just, freelancers who weren't working on the job, like, all right, you got 10 minutes here, just doodle on this thing and do some stuff. So and then we'd scan that all back in and get it back into the edit. So we have all these like really cool marker pops happening. And because it was so many different people working on it, you'd get very different outcomes, right? Like we didn't dictate to anyone, like, here's what you have to draw, here's what colors to use. It's just like, here's a stack of markers, here's a stack of paper, go to town. And you get some really interesting things that way.
Yeah,
were y'all animating, was it on 12s or 24s?
So we did it at 12, but some of the stuff just for ease of use, like if we were doing something out of cinema, we would work at 24 and we would just cut out the frames that we don't need and then draw on those.
Right. Okay.
Some of the stuff that we're doing in After Effects, there are some things where we would take textures and we would scan those in and bring them into After Effects. So we have these real textures. That stuff we'd work at 24 just because we're used to working at 24.
Right.
But then we would do like a posterized time and set it to 12 so that it had that same feel. And when we're doing that, we have to be really careful because we don't want it to be totally smooth. So everything has like a little jitter on it so that, things aren't popping when they shouldn't be popping, but things aren't static when they shouldn't be static. And it's really going into finding, like, if we were to do this by hand, every time we move the camera, the papers would move just a little bit, or like the camera's exposure would change just a little bit because we're trying to do it as, high school kids, not someone who has like this perfect camera setup that's going to, take a perfect picture every time. So
would you go back through and like rescan everything, or were you taking pictures, or how were you doing that? Like the ones that you were actually drawing on top of?
Yeah, so the ones we were drawing on top of, some things we would scan, some things we would take pictures of. It just kind of depended on what the material was, I guess. Okay. But a lot of it we would scan in. So we would, let's see, what was one of them? I think the Ferris wheel was one that we printed out and drew. Or no, the handshake. We have the cool handshake was one that Johnny and I learned the handshake that Peter and Ned do in the movie and recorded that a million times.
That's cool. That's super cool.
And then we would time it out so it like fit the edit, and then we printed that whole thing out. And we would print it at like 10% opacity. So it's really light, and then we drawn it with really dark pencil so that when we brought it back in, just crunch the levels a little bit and we can get rid of that initial plate. But that would be something that we drew over and then scanned back in.
That's cool. That's super cool.
I remember being there at the office. Gosh, when did we take that tour? Like 5 years ago now?
It was during our first NAB East that we were at. Yeah,
who knows
which
when that
was
at
a
this
long
point.
time ago. Yeah.
16 or 17, somewhere in there. And
that would have been around that time.
Yeah. I would have. I do remember that. John was like telling us like everybody was chipping in and grabbing papers and drawing things like even in meetings and even just to get it done. And I was pretty surprised there weren't that many people there. Like you said, it's not like hundreds and hundreds of artists working like you would imagine, right? It was a little more laid back than that. It seemed like pretty chill environment.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we like, because I feel like we're a very collaborative studio. Of course, there's art directors and creative directors and stuff, but when we're making a project, we want everyone to be involved and sort of feel a little bit of ownership over it, because when that happens, I think the work is better when someone feels, no matter like at what level they're at, can come in and be like, hey, you know what, I think that this might look better if we did it this way. And sometimes it's going to be like, well, no, they very specifically want this thing, so we can't do that. But other times, like, hey, you know what, it might look better that way, let's try it. And if it looks better, let's keep it. And we like working that way, because then it becomes very collaborative. And someone's idea, like the idea that you guys would bring to a project, would be very different than the idea I would bring to the project, just by virtue of us being different people. And
your
there's
ideas would be good.
Oh, you'd be very surprised. But there's something that's nice about that we try and find the best idea, not just the idea that came from the one person who's supposed to be having the ideas.
Right. Yeah.
We like to be collaborative in that way, and it's with the artists who are working on it and with the clients that we're working with. We always tell them, they obviously know like they can kind of do whatever they can tell us to do, what they want us to do, but we want to make sure like we're not showing up and saying, this is our idea, take it or leave it. Saying, hey, this is our starting point, and we want to work together to make something better than this.
That's super cool. Dave, I just threw the experience perception, the behind the scenes process for the, if people want to see what we're talking about and stuff like that. It was really cool. It was a really cool thing.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
this
cool.
pitch,
I remember this specifically.
We have a ton of different styles in this pitch, and on that meeting, that first meeting, we talked to them and we're like, hey, so here's kind of the what we're looking at, and here's all our different directions. We had started to walk through it, and they're just kind of like, yes. And we're like, what do you mean yes? We're like, oh, we like all of it. I'm like, oh, okay, so we'll do all the styles. And
we'll do all the styles.
We'll do all of the styles.
That's fun.
And that's kind of where we ended up. So we have, a unified color palette, but the styles change throughout the whole sequence. And you can see like that's just our, our ping pong table at the time, covered in these little ideas, because we started off with like just little vignettes, like what are things we can do, because we're not really retelling the story of the movie, right? We're thinking of this as like kind of a continuation of the movie,
right?
But we don't want anything too specific, because you don't want to get in the way of whatever they're doing for the second movie. You don't want to kind of mess up by saying like, oh no, Spider-Man then did this thing and that. No.
Spider-Man died.
Yeah, right. Oh, he dies at the end of Homecoming. So you can see kind of where this thing ended up. That might be the whole. Is this a breakdown?
This is the animatic. Yeah, we'll definitely link to this in the show notes so people can check it out. For those listening, you can watch along. So, and y'all did the Marvel intro as well, right? That's on many of the movies, right?
Yeah, we did that main Marvel Studios intro. I don't remember how many years ago that was, but I think the first Doctor Strange was the first time that appeared. So we've been doing it since then, which is another like incredible, never in a million years what I've thought we'd get to brand Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
This is one of those jobs that like constantly pinching myself at like the opportunities that we get, and the Marvel Studios logo just, when we first did that and just seeing that logo on a hat, I was like, that's a thing that like we made, and now people are wearing the thing that we did. That's so cool. But that's incredible. And then, we've been doing it ever since. We change it every movie.
Is it updated every movie?
Yeah, it's updated every movie. The general rule of thumb is that a clip from the previous movie gets put into the new one.
Yeah,
right.
That makes sense.
Right, because when you're doing like Shang-Chi, you're not going to put the clip from the movie you're about to see in the sequence.
Right.
So when you get to the next one, then Shang-Chi gets added. And we've done things for the Disney Plus shows as well, where we change it like, the first WandaVision episode, we made it kind of like a retro title sequence where it gets kind of 50s at the end of it. Loki, we made it green and gold. And so we've changed it throughout the years. We've done different versions of it for different projects.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We had to, I think, sign away our lives to even walk into the place when we came to visit. And there's a lot of secrecy behind it. We have done some work in the past with y'all, and it is very secure, right? Because of what you're working on, it's like obvious. That's the thing. And when I think about studios that have to deal with that level of secrecy and security, I always think about y'all, because you're just constantly working on stuff like that. So I imagine it was kind of difficult with COVID, when COVID happened, to figure all that out. Was there kind of a race to figure out a game plan to keep everything? I mean, I'm doubting y'all probably just, throw things on Dropbox,
Yeah, so we basically, I don't remember specifically what day it was, but it's almost 2 years ago to the date, right, when everything shut down. It was kind of that, I think it was the week before we started seeing things in the way they're going. And then, when the NBA shut down, I was like, guys, we're not going to be in the office next week or the week after that. Like, that's just the way these things are going. There's no way we're going to be in the office. So we need to figure something out. And, then over the course of that week or that weekend, whatever it was, put together a whole VPN work from home system that we're using now. But the only way it worked is that we were fortunate that our clients were okay with that. We had to talk to them and be like, hey, listen, the world is shutting down. And they knew that too. The studios are going work from home the whole time. A lot of our clients were going work from home as well. So they were very, very accepting of that. And we're super lucky that was the case. And we've been doing work from home this whole time. I'm in the office now. We're just kind of getting back into office 2 days a week now, and then work from home for the rest. And then that, of course, will change based on the way the world is going. But yeah, some of our biggest things we've done working from home. I think WandaVision was the first one that we, from pitch to final, was done entirely from home.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Same thing with like Loki, Falcon the Winter Soldier. Something like Black Widow it started when we were working in the office, and that was crazy too, because we'd actually flown out to LA a few times to shoot with them on set. Because I don't know if you guys recall the title sequence for that, but there's a lot of stuff with the actors in there. So we went on set and shot with them, which was another like pinch me crazy experience. I held the door open for Rachel Weisz, and I was like, oh, sorry, excuse me. And she's like, thank you very much. And I'm like, oh my God. Which is just crazy. But on those trips, because we did that around this time, they're in January, February, the first time we went, saw some people wearing face masks, and we're like, oh, that's a weird thing. All right, maybe it's just a LA thing. And then, we fly home a day later and see more people wearing face masks. Oh, okay. And then, we're back in February. I think actually I flew home on Valentine's Day, so I think it was 2 years ago. Seeing even more people wearing masks and starting to be like, should we be concerned? Like, is this something we really need to worry about? And that was kind of the time where like we should start really having a plan B on this, because it was crazy. But yeah, that started before pandemic, then kind of got all messed up as we're trying to figure out what we're doing. And Marvel's trying to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then Black Widow, I think, got delayed by a few months because of everything.
Sure.
That was a weird thing. And like things that we had started later came out first because of the way that stuff got all
Interesting.
I was
mixed
traveling
around.
to LA about the same time. We were probably in LA the same day because I was traveling back from LA, and it was right when it was like, what is going on? People starting to wear masks and starting to hear all that. I don't remember if it was John. It may have not even been Perception. Somebody was talking about the level of security with us on the show at one point, or somewhere on Skype. Who knows? I can't tell the difference between
Right.
these
Between
days.
this and just hanging out.
Yeah. They were talking specifically about like some of the rules are very, very hardcore, even when it comes to your family and things, like, oh, you're going to work on this from home. The door has to be shut. If anyone walks in the room, you got to minimize it. Make sure your screen's facing the other way. Make sure the curtains are closed.
That was me, Dave. That was one of the projects we worked on.
Was it really?
It was, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very interesting because I'd be working on a project, and then the housekeepers would come over to clean up. I'd have to lock my door and stuff, and then as soon as they'd come in my office, have to make sure everything is shut down so that they couldn't see stuff.
No, this is before that. This is a couple of years ago, so it might have been. I mean, the same situation with you, but how do you handle that? You got to at least one kid, right? How many kids do you have?
Yeah. Just the one. I mean, she's 3, so she's not telling anyone anything.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm fortunate in that, and I try and be like, "Hey, Daddy worked on that," and she's like, "Okay."
Daddy said Spider-Man died.
Yeah, she tells all of her friends like, ooh.
Yeah.
No, so I'm fortunate there, but yeah, it's a tricky thing because, I think a lot of this stems from, I don't know if you remember when the Wolverine movie came out and like the whole thing leaked online. Do you guys remember that a few years ago? It leaked on with like unfinished VFX.
It sounds familiar.
I
always
think
assume
so.
those are like fake promotions, like to get people excited about the movie. But yeah,
I don't think I got anyone excited about the movie, but that was, I think it was after that where like security really got like, picked up, because that was the first time, at least as far as I can remember, that like a whole movie got leaked online with unfinished VFX. And I think, I don't know, I think it came from. I mean, it had to have come from one of the VFX houses, right? If it has, but it's the whole movie though, so probably came from maybe the editing house or
had to be someone deep into.
Because typically we don't get the whole movie,
right?
So maybe someone who's working on the whole movie will have the whole movie, but like they don't just give you the whole movie and then be like, all right, now just edit out the shots that you're working on. Like you get individual shots. So the fact that it was the whole movie probably came from like an editing house or something, or maybe from the coloring house. So. But that's the first thing I remember. And then from there, then I think it got more serious from that, because that was kind of a big deal.
Yeah. I did a bunch of work for Samsung back in the day, and it's like, it would be so funny because they were so loose on everything that they would give you. And you would see leaks like weeks or months before on stuff that you're working on, and slowly they got more and more to where it was like, okay, if you want to work on this project, you have to be in our building, in this clean room with everything that you bring in, your computer and everything has to stay in this room, no internet connection. And it was like, okay,
the hardware has to stay in the room until it's released.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, we have a client who, believe it or not, is more secure than our film work, and we have to have people working on that project in a separate room that has like a key code access to it, so they can tell who's coming and going.
Crazy.
We've also worked with people who are like, security is a big deal, and then we'll get an email with like an image in it, right?
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
It's so funny.
Yeah. And like stuff happens. Yeah. So I remember when we were working on Thor Ragnarok, we had just gotten out of a review. We were working on like the end titles of that and a bunch of other stuff, but this particular review is about the end title, the big Thor Ragnarok at the end. And we're talking about, we're great. I go back to my desk and like flip open Twitter, and I see the thing that we just talked about on Twitter. And I was like, oh guys, like we got a problem. And then it turns out in that call, Kevin Feige took a picture of it and tweeted it.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, you're going to give me a heart attack, man. because
Good
it was like
Lord.
so funny.
it was like the 100th anniversary of Jack Kirby, I think. And so
Mhm.
our title very much inspired by the artwork of Jack Kirby. So he had like taken a picture of our thing and tweeted it out. That's like happy birthday, Jack Kirby. I was like, oh man, I gotta go home and lie down.
Right?
Because for like 2 minutes, it's like this is the worst possible thing that could
Right.
happen.
Right.
Right.
You know? And so
I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure
gosh.
he didn't get in trouble for it, did he? I don't know. Like,
I would think he makes the rules. I think he
right?
could.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah,
You get to say,
I've
yeah.
seen TikToks of people behind the scenes taking videos and photos on different sets and stuff, and they're like, "You're not supposed to have your phone." Sometimes I wonder if that's just all just on purpose.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I got to
completely
imagine
planned.
that the recent Spider-Man thing, right, with like Andrew Garfield coming out before the movie came out,
Oh,
like,
my fault for not saying it. Spoilers. Damn it.
Oh,
I had a feeling
Cut
that
that
was
out.
the case, but all right. Go ahead.
all right, well, stuff happened. Listen, this movie made like $1 billion.
Right,
in the
I know.
first
It's
week.
my fault. I've been telling my wife for weeks I want to go see it. I wanted to see it opening day because I didn't want anything spoiled, but I was pretty sure that's what happened. All right, go
Have
ahead.
you not? Oh my god.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. To
I'm
me
going
now.
to tell my wife right now I just got the ending of Spider-Man spoiled on the show. Go ahead.
Oh man.
It's okay.
Well,
Don't feel bad about it. It's my fault.
there's video of him on blue screen, like acting. So
That's funny.
you know, that came out, and you're like, well, how did that get out? Like, it's people
Mhm.
on set. It's not like it's not someone behind a camera. It's like the shot from the camera is what has
Right.
come out.
How does
Yeah.
that
And
come
so-
out? Like, how in the world?
I don't know. It's got to be a crew member. I'm sure people are really upset by that. You know,
What about
Yeah.
like, okay, when you're working on a project, like, are they very specific about like what you know? Because like, think about an ending like, what is it, Endgame or something like stuff like
Yeah.
that. Let's say you got to work on the end of that or on the ending credits of that or something.
yeah.
is
So we did the end credits for Endgame, and they wouldn't show us the movie, and we just had to be
Really?
like,
that, yeah.
how does it end? Like, what?
Yeah.
What happens?
Wouldn't you like
Like,
to
is
know?
it uplifting? Is it sad?
Mhm.
Are we feeling energetic? Like, what do we do? Because like those are the kind of questions we have to ask when we want to see it. A lot of times we do get to see the movie, which is great because if we're working on the end or the opening, we need to know what's going into the shot, what's going out of the shot, what's the tone of the movie. Is it uplifting? Is it a real downer? Like, what do we want to make here? And so for Endgame though, they wouldn't show us the movie. There's just too much that they're like, we can't risk
Yeah.
you guys seeing this.
Right.
They're like 3 people have seen this movie. So it's it kind of depends, but that's one where you have to start just asking questions like what's the emotion that you want to have for
Mhm.
this? Like, what do you guys envision this
Mhm.
being? And for Endgame specifically, I was like, no, it's uplifting. It's kind of sad but uplifting at the end of the day because they did save the day, but there is a great loss. And then we're just going like, oh, there's a great loss. Like, all right, who's dying in this movie?
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure it out. And then we have stuff. Well, now I don't even want to talk about Endgame. People haven't
No,
seen
you're
it.
fine. That's been plenty
But
of time.
we're like, but we see things like where Thor ends at the end of the movie, right?
Mhm.
He's they called him Lebowski Thor, right? And in our sequence, we have the main Avengers, the original 5 Avengers, and they give us an image of this Lebowski Thor, and we're like, what is happening in this movie? That Thor has gained a little bit of weight. Like, what is this? And we don't know.
funny.
Like, we're gonna trust that it makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
Well, do you like ever get any like big spoilers like that, and you're just like
Right.
like for the ending of Spider-Man, like knowing something like that, something big like that, and just being able to like have to keep it in the whole time.
Yeah, so a lot of I don't want to say a lot. Sometimes we do get to watch the movies and watch the
Mhm.
shows before they come out, and I've had to sort of change my mindset to instead of being like, oh, it's going to spoil the movie, be like, no, I'm going to see the movie. Like, this is the movie. It just
Right.
won't be done.
Right.
So I'm not going to be spoiled.
Mhm.
I can't be
Yeah.
spoiled if I'm seeing the whole thing. But I was very much, the one of the guys who was on the message boards trying to find out like, oh, what's going to happen in Spider-Man 3 and,
Mhm.
figure all that stuff out. I'm talking like old Raimi Spider-Man 3, like
Right,
trying to figure
right,
that stuff
right.
out. And eventually I was like, okay, I'm not doing spoilers anymore. I gotta stay away. And then I start working here, and they're like, hey, so we're gonna watch this movie. I'm like, oh, okay, let's see. So I had to like try to change my mind to be like, no, it's not a spoiler. It's just this is the movie I'm watching. I'm getting to watch the movie in an unfinished state, and it changes a lot too. Like we've seen these movies where sometimes we watch them and we're like, ooh, that's not good, and then the movie comes out, you're like, this is great, right? It's been changed a whole lot because we see it 6 or 7 months before the movie comes out. So a lot changes.
Yeah, Jackie was asking, have you ever had to work on a shot specifically that was like the spoiler? Where you're like, oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I had to do that. I'm sure there's things that we've done, like I guess Batman vs Superman is a good example with the scene where they have all of the the CCTV shots of all the other heroes, where you're seeing like, oh, here's Aquaman underwater, and here's the Flash and stuff. And so working on that, and like, I don't know if that's a big spoiler for the movie, but that's kind of like an oh shit moment for the movie. We're going to see all the other heroes who are going to be part of the Justice League. And that's one of those things where as we're working on this, we're like, this is cool. This is going to be the thing. And then it comes out and everyone kind of shits all over, like, why do they have all their own logos? Is Lex Luthor designing logos for these things? Like, yes,
Sarah's talking about that clip of Ruffalo accidentally saying that everybody dies. I accidentally said that on the show because I hadn't seen the movie, and my
but that was
joke.
Infinity War. That was Infinity
that was
War.
Infinity
War.
Yeah.
If you've never seen that clip, it is amazing. Because the best part too is not just him saying it; it's Don Cheadle's reaction to him saying it is very much like, you just gave away the game, buddy. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
If you haven't seen it, you should watch that. But I'm gonna try and not talk about any movies ever again. I feel so bad. Like, I hate spoiling things for people. Like, even when we talk to freelancers, and we bring people on who haven't seen the movie, I'm like, all right, how much background do you want on what you're working on? Because I can tell you everything, or I can tell you just what you need to know.
Right.
So like, having the context is always helpful, and I'll dole that out as it needs to be, or we can just do the whole thing now. So I feel terrible that
don't.
Yeah,
it's
ongoing joke.
100% my fault, because I see it as, you have 1 month. When a movie comes out, you have 1 month to go see it. If you don't see it within that month, spoilers are open game.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. But I feel like extenuating circumstances
like,
now. People aren't going to movies as much, and
if you talk about the ending to Sixth Sense or something like that, someone's not going to go,
yeah.
oh no,
you can't really be mad about that. Yeah.
Like, you talked about Batman versus Superman or whatever. I haven't seen it, but like, I don't really care.
The horse in Neverending Story dies.
Oh no! Atreyu.
Oh.
Artax. No, it's Artax, not Atreyu. Yeah.
Okay. Atreyu is the boy's name, right?
Artax is the horse name.
Artax
is the boy's name. Yeah.
Yeah. I had that ongoing joke, which every time someone said no spoilers, I would say, I can't believe everybody died.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about it, and everybody's like, well, don't talk about the ending. And I go, I can't believe everybody died. And everybody on the show was like, is he joking? Oh, he was joking.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just pretend it was a joke. And then later on, I was like, oh, that's actually the ending.
Yeah.
Everybody dies.
Geez.
Oh, whoops.
Everybody does.
Spoilers for Infinity War.
Yeah, spoilers for Infinity War.
Statute of limitations.
Too late. With Marvel movies.
Yeah. We are on a bit of a time crunch today. It's going to be a short show. That's a throwback line.
Right.
And so we do have a hard out, and so we wanted to ask you, before we go to the drop, we wanted to ask you some of your favorite things. We call this Mograph Recommends, and this should be an interesting one today, because we ask either favorites. It's either something that is your all-time favorite or something that's a recent favorite. I'll be interested to hear what your influences are in some of these things. So the number one question is going to be favorite movie.
Favorite movie. This is one of those questions that I feel like is really hard to answer, because it always changes. But I think about it as a movie I can watch whenever it's on, doesn't matter at what part the movie is on, I will continue watching that movie. And for me, that's the first Avengers, is one of those movies, don't care what part of the movie it's on, I'll sit down and watch the rest of it. I think it's just such a, I don't know if it's a perfect movie, but it's such a perfectly enjoyable movie.
I feel like, yeah, who was it that did the movie? It was Joss Whedon. Was it Joss Whedon who did the first
Joss Whedon
Avengers?
did the first two.
I feel like he really set a precedence for the Marvel movies going forward. You know, like if he had done a shit job of that movie, we would not be where we are today.
It would have killed the whole franchise.
The whole franchise would have been gone. Yeah, absolutely.
James says unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. Yeah.
I like that answer.
I wish listen, I'm sitting here working on all the Marvel stuff. I wish I had a better answer, you know, I don't know, some like Tarantino deep cut or something. But, you know, I'm a big fan of this stuff before I ever set foot in this office. So, you know, it's a dream come true.
Yeah. And what about favorite TV show? Is that along the same lines or something way different?
You know what? No, I would say favorite TV show, one that I keep recommending to people is The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, which I absolutely loved. If you want something in this vein, I think the Peacemaker show might be one of my favorite things now.
I've heard good things about Peacemaker.
I don't know anything about that.
It is. Have you seen the new
John Cena?
Yeah, it's John Cena. The James Gunn Suicide Squad movie was great on its own, and you leave that movie going like, why are they making a show for Peacemaker? Don't care about that character. Like, it's a nothing thing. And then the Peacemaker show comes on, and like, I get it. I'm like, I'm in love with the show. Every time John Cena does something, I'm always like, The Rock would never do that. Batista would never do that. And like, he's so charming and funny and like goes all in on the comedy. And the show has a lot of heart. I think it's probably one of the best things that James Gunn's ever done. Season finale is this week. I have not worked on it, so I don't know why I'm going here pitching Peacemaker. Incredible title sequence. I love that show. But if you're asking me favorite show, I'd say The Haunting of Hill House.
All right.
On Netflix. Right. If you like scary things, I find it to be a very scary thing.
I do not like scary things.
Well, then do not watch that show.
And what about music?
Favorite music? Lately, I've been listening to a lot of the Front Bottoms.
Okay.
You guys are familiar with the Front Bottoms?
I've heard of them. I'm sure I would.
Jersey band.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at like classifying music, but they're rock band with punk influences and indie punk rock band, I guess, but also probably not that at all for people who like indie punk rock music. But the Front Bottoms are great. And then another one is Shaky Graves. That's another one I've been listening to a lot lately. He's more like I don't want to say country, but country influences there.
Do you listen to the same stuff while you're working and in other situations, or do you have like work music, or are you like a podcaster type?
I'm more of a podcaster when I'm working. And just no offense to podcasts, but I like just have something in the background, like people talking that like I don't really need to pay attention to. I think
you would really like Mograph TV.
Right.
I guess I put Mograph TV in the background. Yeah. But I think with music, it's so easy to get influenced by the music and what you're doing.
I can see that. Okay.
You know, because if you're, and like you have to be in the right mindset, because you know, like we were talking about before, a lot of the stuff that we're doing is like, what's the emotion for the ending of this movie, or what's the emotion for the beginning of this movie? And if I'm, you know, listening to something really sad, that's not going to be necessarily the right feeling for this like really upbeat kind of title sequence, or vice versa. So when I'm working, I tend to listen to podcasts because I like having something in the background that's not really going to kind of affect my
sway
mood.
Your emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
So besides our podcast, what do you put on in that situation?
Besides your, let's see, the one. So I always go like, what have I been doing recently? Smartless, I think, is really funny. It's Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and
Oh, I've
Sean
heard of
Hayes.
this. I've heard
Yes.
of that. Yeah.
My wife has made me listen to an episode or two. It is very funny.
It's very funny because you can tell that all three of them are really good friends and they have this banter with each other. And I think they all really play off of each other really well. And the guests are really fascinating. So I think that's a good one that I really like. I've also been watching a lot of, and this is embarrassing, I'm going to put it out to the world. During the pandemic, I somehow found myself watching a lot of Disney YouTubers of people just like talking about the parks and talking about, the new things that are happening and going to parks. And there's something about like being stuck inside and watching these people like go to Disney parks. And I grew up in Florida, so we went to Disney, twice a year for like most of my childhood. Until I was like, I want to go to Universal Studios now. I'm too cool for Disney.
Right.
And then I got older. I was like, no, Disney's better than Universal. But started watching a lot of like YouTubers who are like going to the parks and stuff. And that would be like a go-to of just having in the background and like, people hanging out in the parks. Ordinary Adventures is one that I was watching. The guy who runs that also runs the Slash Film website. He's the start of the Slash Film. So that's how I kind of got into that world.
Funny story. So my kids like doing that as well, as do like some cousins of ours. And one day a cousin called us up and they said, we just saw Matt on one of these videos, and sure enough, they sent it to us, and it was me and my kid trying to pull the sword from the stone in the background, of their video. Funny. It was really funny.
That's great. And like, what are the chances?
I know, right?
Like, A, that they would be there that day, and B, that your cousins would be watching that video of you there that day.
Right. It was really funny.
That's fun. Yeah, I hope to one day be in the background of a YouTube video somewhere.
What was I going to ask you? I have one non Mograph recommends question I'm going to ask you right after this, so don't let me forget. Plugin. Favorite plugin can't be a render engine.
Favorite plugin can't be a render engine. For After Effects, for cinema,
anything
for
any
anything
in the world
that you're like, I'm going to use this on every project.
I mean, honestly, I try and use Colorama on as many projects as I can, because nothing brings me more joy than knowing I'm working on a movie that's going to make $1 billion, and
you can use it.
And I'm using Colorama.
Yeah,
I'm using Colorama on it.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Nothing makes me happier as using all those default plugins. Colorama, I think I used CC Glass on WandaVision.
Nice.
Because I was like, I know I'm going to do something cool with this.
Because why not? Yeah.
Why not? And like I did it on the type, the way the type kind of like warbles in was all CC Glass and like displacement and stuff. Yeah, I love doing that stuff. I wish I had a cool, like, no one's ever heard of this plugin before kind of recommendation, but
Colorama.
Yeah, I love
what
doing
engine. What engine do y'all use, by the way, for the most part? Are you allowed to say?
Use Redshift. Yeah.
Okay.
We're using
I
Redshift.
was curious. We hadn't talked about that, so yeah.
Yeah. We shifted to Redshift a few years ago. We did some tests with it, and we're pretty impressed. And so we're like, all right, let's do Redshift. And then Maxon's like, oh, and then we're going to buy Redshift. Like, oh, cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good thing we went all in on Redshift, and you guys are now run Redshift. So
previously y'all were on just like physical renderer, right?
Yeah, just physical renderer.
Yeah.
Standard renderer when we're feeling saucy.
I know that John uses a lot of standard renderer for HUD stuff. He talked about that in one of his presentations about some of the easy things you don't need all of that power to do some very simple things.
Yeah, a lot of times, when we're doing stuff, it's like, hey, there's no reason to use Redshift for this. Like, use a standard renderer.
Yeah.
Throw a texture on like a luminance material, and like you're good.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all you need for some of this stuff. Obviously, Redshift is great for a ton of things, but like I could do that and get a render out in a second, whereas like Redshift might take a few seconds to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's calculating all like the alpha and stuff. And, like,
Yeah, some of them it's actually harder to get that luminance just right in that situation, you know. But
yeah. So we'll use whatever we need to use to get the job done. So we're not afraid of like, all right, using standard render. And I know sometimes there's a stigma like, but that's like the cheap free one that comes in. It's not even physical render. Like, yeah, but you don't need that for everything.
Yeah. Do y'all use anything besides Cinema 4D? Like, do you have any Maya people like on board or anything?
Yeah. No, we don't have any Maya people. If we need Maya, we'll bring in some Maya people, but typically we can do everything we need to do with Cinema and After Effects. I mean, we use Houdini from time to time. We'll use Nuke for compositing from time to time, but I'd say 90% of everything we do is some combination of Cinema and After Effects. And of course, like Photoshop and Illustrator.
Right.
But yeah, it's mostly Cinema and After Effects.
That's awesome.
What's your muscle memory app on your phone?
Muscle memory app? Oh, is it embarrassing to say Twitter?
No.
It's like,
Okay, well, it's a little different. Yeah, I expected Instagram. It's usually what it is, you know.
Oh, I wish I could tell you Instagram. If you go on my Instagram right now, I think you'll find 4 photos on Instagram.
That's funny.
I have it because I know I should have it to like keep up to date with things.
Right.
But I have
internet.
Yeah, because internet. But Twitter is my like every day I go to it more than I should go to Twitter.
Yeah.
Even if I was just there 2 seconds ago, it's like, oh, let's open up Twitter. What's new? Oh, okay, we're still on fire. Awesome. And then, I go back to doing whatever.
Everyone still hates NFTs. Okay, cool.
Yeah, right. Everyone still hates NFTs. Everyone still hates each other. Everyone still hates, I don't know, the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, it's all.
Oh, look, Twitter's still a dumpster fire. Okay.
Yeah. It's still a dumpster fire, but every once in a while, you're like, oh, that's a cool project that someone's working on. And I've tried my best. I think there was a time when I had my Twitter all filled with like news and politics, and there was a time, let's say 4 years ago, when I was like, I don't want to keep my Twitter filled with news and politics anymore, and I started stopped following those things and started following more artists so I could see cool, inspiring work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I did with my Instagram. Like, I created a separate Instagram that's like not just me posting pictures of my kids and fun stuff. Like, it was just for art and only following artists and stuff, so that like I would get a good feed of just artists. And my TikTok is the complete opposite. I don't want to see any art at all. I just want to see funny stuff and like poop and fart videos. Man, they make me laugh so much.
Yeah, I messed up my Instagram a while ago because there's like one video. I was like, what's this? And I clicked on it, and it was one of those like ASMR, someone like mushing goo together. And I was like, what is this thing?
Now they think you
and then my whole feed is filled with slime.
Yeah.
So that might be part of why I don't go on Instagram that often.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't
Matt,
need to be fed slime videos.
I have to use the restroom because I can't wait anymore. So you got to keep going. Video game and life hack, and I'll be right back.
Video game and life hack. Let's hear it.
Oh, video game. Last of Us is, I think, a perfect video game. One of my favorite video games of all time. Journey is another one that I absolutely love, and I find just to be a beautiful, beautiful game. Narratively, what little narrative you can take from it, and visually, I think a beautiful game. I just started playing Ollie World, which is really cool.
I hear good things about that one. Yeah.
Great style, really easy to pick up. So I'm enjoying that. And then
me and my wife have been playing Pokemon Arceus, whatever.
Oh, nice. On the Switch, right?
On the Switch, yeah. I said this last week where I said I didn't get the game, and she's like, this is the greatest Pokemon game ever. I am now on her side because I've been playing it a lot lately, and it really is one of the best Pokemon games I've ever played.
It looks cool. I saw a lot of people were upset with the visuals of it. It feels kind of empty.
They suck. They're awful. It's like if Nintendo can come out with a beautiful game like Breath of the Wild, this huge open world game with beautiful visuals and beautiful whatever, and yet one of your probably biggest money makers, one of the Pokemon games, it's like it's just bad. It's real bad, Yeah,
and I always wonder like how it gets to that point.
Right.
I don't blame I don't blame the artists at all on that stuff. It's all budget concerns, time concerns. The people making the thing didn't get the time to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun game, though. It's real fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite life hack.
Oh, favorite life hack.
And it doesn't have to be like super serious. It could be something funny too. Something silly.
I'm trying to think of like what life. It's gonna be one of those things like something that I do all the time and I don't think of as a life hack. I think like, oh, it's just normal to put cereal on a peanut butter sandwich.
Turn the toaster on its side for some bomb-ass grilled
incredible. Cheese. You get that good crunch. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, so we started doing that.
Some honey nut checks with like a little bit of honey and a little bit of peanut. Oh, geez.
Next time we do a 3-day live stream like last time, instead of your cereal review, you can try cereal sandwiches.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So we started doing that with my daughter because she wanted something. We're like, what do you want for breakfast? Like, I don't know. Like, all right, we'll make you a breakfast mystery. And we put cereal on a peanut butter sandwich, and it's delicious.
That's insane. So good. That sounds delicious.
I would say a real life hack. I don't know if it's like make your own ice cream. We make our own ice cream.
That's fun.
And it is amazing. We recently just made a marshmallow strawberry ice cream.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It was very good. My wife is very talented.
Do you use actual marshmallows, like the small marshmallows, or do you use the marshmallow fluff?
So for that, we used fluff, but all right, we're going to get a little inside baseball and make an ice cream. We used marshmallow fluff on that. In the past, we've made marshmallow ice cream where we toast the marshmallows first, blend them up, and so you get a toasted marshmallow. We didn't do that for the strawberry one because we're thinking, oh, we just want marshmallow. But it turns out that marshmallow is just vanilla and sugar. So it doesn't really taste like anything. Just a marshmallow on its own is like, it just tastes kind of like a little hint of vanilla and it's a lot of sugar.
Right.
So you want to toast the if you're going to make marshmallow ice cream, toast the marshmallow first.
Yeah,
okay.
That makes sense.
I'm with you on that.
And make it with actual marshmallow toasted. You get a good marshmallow ice cream.
Yeah.
I was at Big Lots the other day, and they had the Lucky Charms marshmallows only in a bag that you could buy by themselves.
Oops, all marshmallows.
Oops, all marshmallows. Yeah.
I don't know if there's gonna be a controversial opinion. I don't like the Lucky Charm marshmallows. They're very crunchy, and then when they get soggy, they don't. There's nothing there.
Right, that's true. I still enjoy them. I don't know about an entire bowl full of them.
Just a spoonful of that weird mouthfeel. I'm not really. I don't know if I'm into it. But we have made cereal milk ice cream before, where we took Lucky Charms, we put it in milk, we let that sit overnight so the milk got real cereally, and then we used that milk to make the ice cream, and that was delicious.
Oh, interesting. I bet.
But it looked gross because it turned gray, because you can imagine all the marshmallows in the milk, it turns kind of gray.
Yeah.
Looked gross, tasted great.
Interesting. So, that's a good idea. All right.
The other question I was going to ask you, non-related to this, was before we go to the drop, because we're running out of time here, is what would you recommend to somebody that wants to get into what you do specifically? Not just like animation, but if they're really looking to get into these superhero movies, which I know, like getting
they want to go work for Perception. Yeah.
A lot of it's luck and a lot of it's talent. But what would you say, like, if somebody's striving toward that goal, whether it's just VFX or working on big movies, not just necessarily Marvel, but like any big movies like that, doing the big fun ones, what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, for me, I'd say it's stay through the credits of movies and take notes on who's working on the movies. There's the studios everyone knows, like, oh, ILM's working on these things, Weta's working on these things. There's a lot of smaller studios that work on these movies that you would not necessarily know. Yeah. And I think more people know us now, but when I first started working here, like, no one knew who we were. I'd say 7 years ago, people still weren't really totally familiar with who we were. And I think, we were a pretty small studio. We're still relatively small. But I think it's stay through the credits and see who's working on these. And, you might find studios who are like, oh, they're just making explosions or whatever thing they're doing. I don't want to do that, but like, you've got a name of a studio who's working on a movie, and eventually you find enough of them, you'll see their work and you're like, oh, they're doing background replacement and I really want to do background replacement, or they're doing FUI and I really want to do that, or they're doing character work and that's what I want to do. So it's sit through the credits and just write down the names of all the studios who are working on these things, and that's going to be your first place. Like, all right, I'm going to hit all those people now.
Yeah,
That's cool.
cool.
That's super cool.
All right, Matt, are you ready to go to the drop?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go to the drop.
Is this the fucking mic? This is exactly what I should be doing.
What's up, and welcome to this week's episode of The Drop, your weekly source for all things NFT and crypto art, as well as upcoming drops by notable people in the Mograph industry. I'm Matt Milstead. Joining me, as always, is Dave Koss. Joining us this week is Doug Appleton.
Hello.
Let's get into the drop. It's a short list this week because, Nifty doesn't like to update their things daily.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's my weekly rant about Nifty, but whatever.
Yeah.
So we've got two. We've got
All
two
right.
for Nifty this week. First one up is Miss Al Simpson. They do she does these collage-y type stuff. Kind of neat. I like it. Fun stuff if you're into that. I get like a kind of a
Blurred lines.
a more put together ferocious feel.
Oh, okay.
I
gotcha.
yeah. So there's that, and then next up on the 15th, I am excited about this one. Josh Pierce is doing a drop on Nifty, which is super exciting. I love Josh's work. Josh is absolutely fantastic.
Random landscape with a person for scale and a geometric.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. He has definitely he knows how to sell that well.
Uh-huh.
So it's very, very cool. Yeah. That's all I've got for Nifty Gateway. Next up, we've got Maker's Place, the first one dropping tonight, which I think is very appropriate for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tina Eisen, she is a photographer, and so she does a lot of these. She's been known for doing that's cool. Cosmetic photography and stuff, which I think is pretty cool. So I love that it's dropping on
photography.
All real photography. Yeah,
that's cool.
I love that it's dropping on Valentine's Day. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, and Dave, you're going to want to turn down your volume on this because it is extremely loud.
I have
16th,
most of these muted, so.
Cool. Dead Mouse and Super Nifty are doing a collaboration together, which is cool.
Dead Mouse 5?
Dead Mouse 5, right. Love myself some Dead Mouse. I think, I don't know. It doesn't look so much like the actual Dead Mouse head. I just know that Dead Mouse head so well. Like, I've seen the topology on that Dead Mouse head, and I'm like, this looks different than the Dead Mouse head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Super Nifty's own style along with that, but it's cool to see another collaboration with Dead Mouse. Next up on the 17th, Jonathan Monahan. Super cool stuff. Jonathan was into the space super early. In fact, looking into how to create smart contracts using Bitcoin and stuff, which is cool, way back in the day. But yeah, really early adopter into the NFT space. Really, I like the work too. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. That's all I got as far as the main drops. Dave, I added something else to the list. I'm not sure if you got that one
you
for the
did.
Gavin
Yeah.
Shapiro thing.
Yeah, let me
I can throw it into the chat real quick.
I've got it.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
But for those who have a Gavin Shapiro piece of art, it is you'll need, what is it? It's Flamingos All the Way Down. I think that's the one. If you own...
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, so if you own a Gavin Shapiro piece, like I've got It's Flamingos All the Way Down. So the reason I mention this is because he's giving away a piece called Hodl, as a gift for those who collected an open edition and held it for a whole year.
You mean hodled?
So
they hodled it?
For a whole year, yeah, without selling it. So the thing is, though, a few weeks ago, in order to get to his Penguin drop, you had to transfer it into your OpenSea account, from Nifty. So if you're wanting to be on this Hodl one, you need to transfer it back to Nifty Gateway.
Right.
Yeah.
God, that's such a pain. That's such a
it
pain
is a
to
pain.
transfer to Nifty and back.
It actually really wasn't that bad. This time, I think when you tried it back in the day, it was very, concerning, but I think Nifty Gateway and OpenSea have worked together to make it very seamless. It was extremely seamless getting it back. But yeah, so that's exciting. Getting a Gavin Shapiro drop. I'm really excited about this one, and it's only for the people who have held it on for a year. They are taking the like, what is it, the whitelist or the screenshot or whatever of everyone who has it tomorrow. So you'll want to get that done ASAP.
I see. Right.
Yeah, that's why I mention it. So
Cool.
but yeah, that's about all I got. I don't think we have any community drops, or anything
no,
like
but
that.
I did want to mention the Smearballs drop. Or I don't actually.
Yes.
I don't know if this is drop or just a render. I'm assuming it's
think
going to
he's
become a drop. But
Yes, this will be a drop.
this is so good. You see something new every time it spins around.
One of my favorite things about this is like talking to him. He was putting on the Rococo suit, doing all this, animation and stuff like that.
That's great.
Which I think is so funny. And I hit him up and I said, dude, I need to see video of you in the Rococo suit doing all these dances and stuff. He said, no way. That'll never be released.
Aww.
He said he took video of himself once and he's like, no, never again.
That's
really funny.
That's
Yeah.
cool. This is one of the things I like about the NFTs when they use the medium, right? Because the whole thing with them being digital is you should take advantage of them being digital. Like make it animated, make it do something that you can't otherwise do. Like otherwise you can print a photo and you can get a gorgeous photo, but like why is that a digital thing? So I love when I see people doing NFTs that have motion to them or have something that's just inherently digital that you couldn't do in another medium.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
Is Garrett Appleton your brother, or is he just joking?
He is my brother.
Really?
He's got some NFTs. Go check him out. Ape Town
Seriously?
Art. Go buy all of his
know
stuff.
that you. I just thought y'all had the same last name. That's so funny. I had no idea.
That's
funny.
that's my brother. Yeah, I
Oh.
saw. Is he in the chat right now saying stuff?
Yeah.
And he had tweeted earlier, and I mean, I see him online all the time. I had no idea. That's funny. Here you go, right here,
Yeah.
right?
There you go. Go buy his
That.
stuff.
Huh.
Right, he's got some
All right.
cool stuff.
There you go. Got to bookmark that there. Put that in our community drops.
There you go.
There you go.
Good.
That's funny.
There you go. I have nothing to drop, but you can go.
Yeah.
I
I was gonna ask you, like, so I'm assuming that because you do work full time, that's got to be kind of difficult to. You'd have to come home at night and hop back on board the 3D train.
It's a constant pain point. Is that like I wish that when I went home, I just had the motivation to do more stuff. I wish I had time to do just personal projects, not even necessarily NFTs, but just sort of personal work of, doing something else that isn't always on a deadline or for someone else. I mean, I love the work that I do, so I do get fulfilled that way. But there's still something about being able to make something for yourself, but it's just I get home and I'm just tired.
Right.
I want to sit down and watch TV. I want to hang out with my family. I want to do other things. It's not that I don't have the time for it, because if I really wanted to make time for it, I could make time for it. It's that I just choose to fill that time with other stuff. But I don't know. One of these days I'm gonna try and do some more personal work.
One of the questions in the chat is who got who into doing 3D.
Yeah.
I'd say I got him into doing 3D because Garrett was doing more film work early on.
Okay.
And I was doing 3D stuff, and then
Who's older?
he's older, so we're like almost exactly a year apart.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's
All
funny.
right.
And then I have a younger sister who is also almost exactly a year apart, and she's not into this at all. So, there you go.
She's like, I've seen how y'all work. No, I'm out.
I don't even know if I'm sure she's seen a movie at this point. Once we went with her daughter to go see Thor Ragnarok, and it would be like the first thing that I knew that she was going to see. And in the beginning of the movie, Thor fights the big lava monster.
Yeah.
And she was like, her daughter was like, "This is too scary. I have to leave."
Oh, that's
All right,
sad.
bye. And it was like the first time that we'd all have to we'd be in the same place and be like, "Hey, look, I could point to the thing. Like I worked on that thing." But they laughed. So I don't know if she's even seen a single thing.
So
That's
since
funny.
this is a short show today, Dorpy's not really around today, but I would like
Yeah.
to
Oh, darn.
introduce you to somebody. This right here is Airdrop Ostrich, and he invests in NFTs.
Uh-huh.
He's a little shy, so he really doesn't like to talk like out
He's
loud.
he's like a collector.
That's
The
exactly
collectors
it.
don't really like to talk about.
That's
the
exactly the-
NFTs.
Yeah. He's shy, kind of secretive. You never know what's going to go on, and he says it's nice to meet you, and but you can't have his seed phrase.
Okay.
I don't think anybody was asking about your seed phrase.
Okay.
Oh, he says good
Seed.
because you can't have it.
All right.
Yeah. Do you know Crypto 888 by any chance? No, he says he's not allowed to tell you that.
All right.
Oh, okay. He sent you a Valentine's Day card, Matt.
Oh gosh, he did.
He says
Is
it's a picture of a bored ape, and there's a
Oh.
heart on it. 'Cause
Okay.
it's a Valentine. Yeah, and it says,
Mhm.
what does it say? Oh, it says I'm never bored with you.
Oh.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a good one for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do you think about the current ups and downs about like Bitcoin and
Oh,
ETH
boy.
and all of that? Like how is all that going? What do you think about that? Oh. I guess we scared him away. That happens a
okay.
lot.
I
with
was
crypto
wondering how
investors.
long this was going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know.
Nothing like dead radio silence to really promote good quality programming.
That's right.
That's gonna play.
It's a lot better in person. Yeah. The video feed.
Oh,
Like
man.
everybody's gonna have to watch the video feed.
I was over
Yeah.
at Dave's house the other day, and he showed me his stack of Dorpies that he's got. Like he's got like 4 or 5 of them just in bags
Oh,
in
man.
case the regular Dorpy,
Something happens
gets
to him.
broken or something.
You need
And
travel Dorpies.
I wanted to steal one just so I could pop up another Dorpy,
Yeah.
during the show, which
I
would have been
like,
hilarious.
damn it!
You have to have
stole my
backups.
Dorpy. Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah,
what if
I
I
mean,
take
we
him
do
out
that
of
with-
town and I lose
Uh-huh.
him? You know.
Yeah.
Right?
We do it with my daughter's toys. We have backup. We have a backup of her favorite toy, and
Mm-hmm.
you swap it out when it's time to clean it.
Yeah.
You gotta have backups.
Just like
Yeah,
like
gotta.
fish, you just replace the fish when they die, and the kid never knows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, that's all I got for the drop today. I don't know about you.
That's all I got for the drop. If you or anyone you know is doing a drop, feel free to email us info@mograph.com and we'll shill it on the show.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Other than that, let's get back to the regular show.
All right. Here we go.
Is this the fucking mic drop? This is exactly what I should be doing.
Doug, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
on
so much
the show
for being
today.
on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is so much fun.
I usually ask if people want to find you online, where can they find you? And it's all written, on the screen and stuff. But I imagine that, because you're at Perception, there's a couple different places people can find you, right? Like, where can they find Perception,
Yeah.
and what are your names on all the things?
So Perception, you can find us at experienceperception.com. It's our website. You can find all of our work, breakdowns. We also have, YouTube and Twitter that I believe are all also Experience Perception. One of them will link to the other ones. But we like to put a lot of our work there. But you can find me personally on Twitter at Dougasaurus. I'm on Instagram at the Dougasaurus because someone got to Dougasaurus before I did.
Yeah.
I know, right? It's devastating. I never post there, but maybe if enough people bug me, maybe I will.
We know a few sauruses.
Yeah.
Urosaurus,
Herrerasaurus.
Herrerasaurus, and somebody
Yeah,
has
it's not a
Saurus
wildly
on Xbox.
original handle.
Kevin?
but-
Yeah. Rupasaurus? No?
No.
Rupasaurus
Yeah, I figured
Rex?
it's probably better than using my PlayStation handle of Nebbins. So
Yeah, you never want to
Yeah.
use PlayStation handles or the
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those always tend to go back way too far into the past.
Yeah.
And
We're
dig
looking
up
at you,
the
Nick.
Emotions.
mine goes
Looking
back
at you,
to,
Nick.
Yeah.
when did my PlayStation? I don't know, 14, 15. When did the Cat in the Hat movie come out with
Oh gosh. I don't even know.
what's his face?
Oh.
Totally thinking of his name.
Yeah. Gosh, I forgot about
Austin
that
Powers,
movie.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my PlayStation name comes from the name of the dog, and that I never understood if his name was Nebbins or Nevitz, so I just went with Nebbins, and that is my.
Okay.
You can friend me on PlayStation, and we'll play.
There you go.
Hollywood together.
Yeah.
That's funny.
There you go.
Cool. Well, we're going to get out of here. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review, subscribe on your podcatcher of choice, help get our ratings up. Subscribe to our newsletter as well. You get all the latest info on some of our articles and the shows that we've done and what's coming up and community events and what's coming to Mograph TV, all the things. So subscribe to that on mograph.com. You can say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, the Feel the Bab 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. And that is still available. The classic, it's still available. Make sure you get yourself one. And the Render Things t-shirt.
It's like having an old Nixon bumper sticker or something, right?
Classic.
It's classic.
Yeah, but in a good way instead of a bad way. Yeah.
Right.
The Render Things t-shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve tee, the Mograph Blandishment shirt, and then, of course, the That Render is Fire shirt, which you are only allowed to wear ironically. Unless you're shams. Yes.
Yeah.
And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Mograph.com. Check us out on all the things and subscribe and join the lives. And come hang out with the community. If you would like to get a hold of us to ask us for an invite for Slack or to Discord, just let us know. Slack is where the majority of people hang out. We do have the same channels in Discord, but our Discord right now is mainly for just hanging out on video and talking to people. You know? So.
I was talking to Barton yesterday. You know, we went up to Already Been Chewed, and he was saying that Discord was a change in trajectory for them. You know, being able to chat, have everyone on, you know, on the streaming or whatever, you know, all in one place. He said from that point on, they decided that they were cool with hiring internationally and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nice.
Neat.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, Doug. We're going to get out of here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And until next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Doug.
Have a good one.
Later, yo.